I believe him now to be more than just a man. He is Doom.
Doom Eternal is the Giga Chad meme in video game format, and it might just be my favorite first-person shooter of all time. The plot is simple and the game begins with one of the most hype openings in gaming history. Basically, 14 years after the events of Doom, this bad boy right here, Earth has been overrun by demons and you have to save it by killing a bunch of hell priests. I really like the advancements from the previous game in this department. There's actual third-person cutscenes now, Doom guy has a voice, and it was just uncomfortably hilarious to see him interact with humans. I surprisingly enjoyed this narrative a lot. It's thoroughly entertaining throughout its entire playtime and does a great job of showing you how much of a beast the Doom guy really is. But if you're being for real, on God, no cap, as the mentally challenged like to say it, the story isn't something that will change your perspective on life. Also, I'm not gonna be a pretentious douchebag who forces you to read all the text lore in the game because
ain't nobody got time for that.
What I will recommend is that you listen to the holograms and the audio logs you run into during the levels.
The cleansing of Earth is a necessary step.
The area where the story excels is the set pieces.
You can't just shoot a hole into the surface of Mars.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
But let's talk about what we're really here for, the gameplay, because it is amazing, sensational, and even spectacular. The combat here is pure nuts to butts, fast-paced, intense, testosterone-fueled action. Even from the beginning, you know this shit's gonna be good, since the very first weapon you get in the game is a shotgun instead of a pussy-ass pew-pew pistol. And your arsenal only gets better from there on as you get the AR, plasma rifle, rocket launcher, ballista, to name a few. Other than the super shotgun and the BFG, aka Big Gun, all the weapons give you a choice between two weapon mods which can also be upgraded. The shotgun can be equipped with a nade launching mod or an automatic mod, and when Doom says automatic, it means fucking automatic, goddammit. You can juice up your minigun so hard it makes every other video game iteration of it blush. Hell, the super shotgun has a grappling hook. Do I need to say anything else? The weapon mods can be swapped seamlessly anytime, so you're not under a limitation. Doom Eternal does a fantastic job of making each weapon feel like it has a purpose. The shoulder mounted flame belt sets enemies on fire and gives you armor. Glory kills give health and charge the blood punch, which dookies on the enemies. Chainsaw gives ammo, you have frost and frag nades. Every weapon you have chains seamlessly to one another. The game has actual incentive for you to use all the weapons you have, making you accountable for the scarcity of resources. It also does a great job in spacing these weapons out from each other, making the progression natural rather than overwhelming you with a new gun every 2 seconds. I appreciated this when I played this game now more than when I played it in 2020. The other part of the combat is the movement, which if I had to summarize it,
Damn, that's smooth.
the fundamentals like double jumping and dashing are refined and feel smooth as hell, plus you also have the meat hook that I mentioned earlier. The movement contributes a lot to the fast-paced nature of the game. When you've played the game a bit, the excellence in level design really shows. Every place has been paid attention to and crafted with a lot of care. There's large arenas with tons of room for you to move around it with shit like monkey bars, portals, jump pads, and all of these have importance to them as this is a game where you need to keep moving. On the other side of the coin, the game also puts you in closed up areas, forcing you to switch up your strategy when you take down enemies. And speaking of the enemies, the enemy variety is probably one of the best in any FPS game I've ever played. There's so many different types of enemies and all of them are pretty much aggressive as fuck. For the most part. I think we should be fighting, my guy. You move more, the enemies move more to keep up with you. Every enemy type has a weakness which allows you to kill them faster and be more efficient with your resources. For example, these Goombas can be instantly killed by feeding them nades using the classic airplane technique. Enemies like the Arachnotrons and Revenant can be crippled by shooting off their weapons so that they can no longer use them. These pinkies are annoying as fuck, but once you get behind them, you can take them out in like one shot, one opportunity.
He sees everything you ever.
Good thing is, even when you exploit weaknesses, it doesn't just turn into an easy game as it constantly wants you to adapt to the changing and increasingly challenging situations because Doom Eternal is a difficult game. But it does a really good job of gradually pushing you to become better as more and more enemies of different types are thrown at you. There are only two enemy types that I kinda have a problem with. First, the Tyrant because he's just a giant bullet sponge, and second, the Marauder because he kinda fucks up the flow of some fights. I mean, he's not a problem when he's alone, as he isn't as hard as some people might lead you to believe, but sometimes when he's with other demons, the fights just become too linear, and your best bet is to take out the other demons first and then deal with him. It takes away some of the freedom from the fights. But coming back on track before I get a panic attack, Doom Eternal wants and requires you to get good and use all the tools at your disposal, because if you don't, you're pretty much as good as dead. I sounded like Homelander there for a second.
Jump.
Please, I just want to get
I'm not
down.
suggesting anymore.
There are only two get out of jail free card kind of weapons in the game, which are the Crucible Blade and the BFG, but their ammo is really scarce, so it balances out. There's a level of real-time strategy involved in the combat, with decisions like when to blood punch, when to use the chainsaw, which guns to switch to, where to move. When I got good at the game, the strategic thought processes became second nature to me. This is a game where you can make combos with guns and straight up bully the enemies you once thought were unfair. And when you're making the life of demons a living hell, suddenly a realization hits you that Doom Eternal is actually a rhythm game. Because I swear to God, this game has some of the best music ever. It is so fucking good. Mick Gordon and his team are half the reason for this game being as good as it is. Mick Gordon, the type of guy to turn an E3 presentation into a rock concert. From the moment you first boot up the game and get past this shit, you just know you're in for a banger, because even the main menu music straight up slaps. This is one of those cases where I regularly stream the soundtrack of a game. True story. One time I played it in the gym and was able to bench press 2 women the size of your mom. Without this music, the game just wouldn't have this feeling of
I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in here with me.
The only big problem I have with the game is that sometimes you can get stuck on the geometry like you're Spider-Man or some shit. Like here the game bugged out and I couldn't even move. It's just straight up frustrating. Another problem I have is with the boss fights. Yeah, they aren't very good. Two of the bosses that the game builds up to be these one-of-a-kind threats just end up being stronger enemy types in the normal game, which makes it feel like these were not real boss fights. Other than these, there are 3 actual boss fights, 2 of which are alright, but the final boss fight of this game is a joke. It's just a giant bullet sponge segment that goes on for way too long. Really lazy in terms of design compared to other aspects of the game. Other than that, the game excels at keeping you on your toes as the enemies keep pushing aggressively, and the movement and action systems tie in seamlessly with each other. The game feel is impeccable. The satisfaction of seeing individual pieces of meat fly off when you shoot someone is unparalleled. Overcoming challenges and annihilating tons of demons in the most over-the-top, gory ways possible makes you feel like a complete badass. Overall, the fights are just chaotic, but in a good way. Oh, and you can also get power-ups like this. Holy shit, I'm having so much fun. I have never played a game that is this gory and smooth at the same time during the action. Like seriously, Doom Eternal is probably the best optimized game ever. As you might be able to tell, the graphics are beautiful in the most disgusting way possible. The insides of demons are handled with unprecedented levels of care. Doom Eternal also blows its predecessor out of the fucking water, or blood in this case, in terms of visual variety by taking you to locations that are distinct from one another. The game does a great job at showing you just how massive the scale of everything going around really is, but the real home run here is how stable the performance is even during the most clusterfuck of gameplay situations. But it's not all just because frankly it would get tiresome for the pacing of the game. That's where the light puzzle solving and the platforming comes into play. The platforming is actually fun as the game spices things up to keep them engaging as you jump, dash, bounce, and climb all over the place. Platforming sections allow for a much required breather. This is helped a lot by the fact that there's a good incentive on exploration and by just how fun it is to find the secrets in these masterfully crafted levels. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that I tried to find all the secrets in every level. Other than runes, crystals, and suit points, which are all used for their respective upgrades, you can find secret encounters which award you with weapon points for killing a wave of demons in a given time limit. The real shit lies in the Slayer gates though, which are unlocked by finding a nearby Slayer key. These offer a crushing challenge as so many enemies, even the ones that haven't even been introduced in the game yet, show up here. Slayer gates on higher difficulties turn boys into men, and it is so fun to finally complete one after being shat on a couple of times. But that's not all, folks. Because Doom Eternal is such a video game, you can also find stuff like extra lives, which is really useful, especially in your first time in difficult fights or in Slayer gates. There's cheat codes, action figures, vinyls which you can listen to in your mothership. And oh wait, did I mention that Doom Guy now has a mothership where you can unlock stuff like new skins, practice your demon killing skills in the Repertorium, and play Doom 1, 2, and Doom 64 so you can game in a game while you game?
Games
Bro, this is the most metal gaming setup ever. Now, something that is worse about Doom Eternal than Doom 2016 is that the snap map is gone, so you can't make dick-shaped maps anymore. The Halo-style PvP is also not here anymore. So here, other than the campaign, you have the online multiplayer, which is alright, I guess. But on the good side, there's the Horde mode, which is self-explanatory, and then there's a few master levels, which are more challenging remixes of the levels from the campaign, which are really fun. So yeah, overall, the game does have a lot of content. So in conclusion, if you've been around the channel for a while, you already know how much I appreciate games that are proud to be video games. Doom Eternal has a certain old school charm to it that knows how to make people like me smile, whether it be through its collectibles, set pieces, or references like this. It's a passion project made out of love by people who care, and because of that care, in my opinion, Doom Eternal is one of the best games ever made.